probably well aware, we are controlling the mainstream press and the media and preventing any type of information that might, shall we say, upset the natives.
Yes, I know, very good.
But you see, we still have a problem. Well, what's that, sir?
Well, that couple keeps coming on the radio, and they're talking about this, shall we say, transfer of wealth from the poverty-stricken into our pockets. Now, what are we going to do about that?
Well, sir, we've discussed that in the past. We have to continue our efforts to try to discredit or demonize or ridicule anybody who is, shall we say, not on board, sir?
Yes, but you're not doing enough. If we don't stop these broadcasts, people become informed, and when they become informed, they become active, and when they become active, they become vocal, and when they become vocal, they start talking, and when they talk, they get upset. Now, I'm getting upset. You're going to have to shut these people down. Do anything you can. I keep telling you over and over and over again to stop these broadcasts. They've got to stop.
We have to get this lunatic off the air.
Sir, we can contact the networks, but they're under no legal obligation to comply.
All right, everyone. Hi, I'm Joe Rizoli here, and I'm with my brother Joe today. We're on our way down the Cape on Thanksgiving, hitting a bunch of traffic, though. The topic of conversation that I wanted to bring up has to do with my favorite topic, and that is the Holocaust issue and some different facets of it that I've been reading a lot. I get Google alerts dealing with the Holocaust and certain aspects of it, and a couple of them that I've gotten lately. One of them had to do with this 90-year-old or whatever, over 90-year-old Jew who somehow found his nephew after, all these years. He came in touch with him somehow. And the reason why this is an interesting topic is because the Jews make a big deal about 6 million of them being killed. And, we revisionists don't believe that. I've told you folks in my videos that, probably at the most you're dealing under 500,000 people died in all the camps, and half of them might have been Jews. So you do have a couple 100,000 Jews that did die in these camps. And when I say die, they died. They weren't executed. Even though, some Jews were executed. I'm not saying they weren't, because, some Jews were treasonous. They were part of partisan activity. Communist, trying to destroy Germany from within. And those people, if caught, they were shot. So we know that some Jews were killed by the Germans. They were executed. We know that. But that
deservedly.
Deservedly, though. Not as many as...
Same thing would ever happen in America. They would put you in jail or put you to death.
And Joe, can I do this video?
Oh, okay.
Thank you very much. So let's get back to this, this thing I got about this Jew, 90-year-old plus Jew, meets his nephew. And why this happened? Because, see, I have, discussions on the internet, and people always hit us with, well, if all those Jews were not executed or died in the camps, then where did they go? They had to go somewhere. And, my answer to that is very simple. Yes, they did go somewhere, and they probably ended up in the Soviet Union. All right? Thousands upon thousands of them probably ended up in the Soviet Union. And, what's going on? Well, I don't know why that's on. So that's probably what happened to these people. But they don't want to admit that the Jews went to the Soviet Union. And, a lot of people would have lost track of any of their relatives that did end up in the Soviet Union. And, there's a good chance they probably were killed there by the Soviets. So, that's basically what happened to a lot of Jews that were not found, or families that were split up and they never knew what happened to them. That's what probably happened to them.
Yeah, they changed their names.
Yeah, and then what happened? Let's say they did find their way. These Jews did find their way to the United States or Palestine or mostly these democratic countries. A lot of them changed their names, and you would not be able to find them in any registers because they changed their names. So there's your problem that you have with the Jews and where they ended up. because everybody wants you to think they were all killed, and 6 million of them were killed. And, you know, if you do the research in population, you'll find out that the population of Jews in Europe at the time, maybe at the most, you know, between 2 and 4 million that were there. And a lot of the Jews actually left that area even before the war. In Germany, there was only a couple 100,000 Jews still in Germany. So that just shows you that there weren't that many Jews there. And those Jews there that weren't in the camps, that you know, were still back in these towns and cities or whatever, they survived, didn't they? Okay, so what does that tell you? That, you know, Hitler didn't round up every Jew. There were Jews still, you know, existing in these towns. And I know when, you know, Diane and I went up to Toronto and interviewed Holocaust survivors, German survivors of the Holocaust, even they admitted that in their towns there were Jews still in their towns. So why weren't they rounded up? Okay, pretty much the Jews that were rounded up were probably in situations where the Germans felt they had to contain these people because they were very divisive people, and you couldn't allow these people to run around causing problems. In the, you know, because they lived in the ghettos, a lot of them, and these ghettos were just corrupt, you know, places where the Jews hung out, and, you know, they were run by Jews. These ghettos were run by Jews.
Judenrats.
Yeah, they were very corrupt men that ran these ghettos. So when the Germans took the Jews out of the ghettos and they put them in the camps, they had to put them in the camps to contain them. All right,
but Jimmy, they were given permission from the Judenrats. They ran the ghettos. They were the ones responsible for the people going to the camps.
Right. Well,
they don't tell you that.
So the Jews ended up in the camps because Hitler did not want these people, that most of them were communists right off the bat anyway. So that's a situation that's not a good thing.
That one little car.
And you know, most of them were communist, and you know, they were basically not working for the betterment of Germany anyway. So Hitler had to put them in the camps. And plus, at the end of the war too, I mean, not at the end of the war, but during the war, a lot of the German men were on the front fighting, so they needed a lot of manpower, woman power, to, you know, serve the German Reich, to you know, maybe produce weaponry, produce clothing, and this and that. And so a lot of the camps basically were set up for, you know, the Jews that were healthy enough to work, not just Jews, but other people too, because like I said, most of the people in those camps were not Jews. A small portion of them were probably Jews, and they worked for the German cause. And that's what they don't want to admit. See, the Jews don't want to admit that they were in these camps working, and that's why they survived. If they weren't in the camps working, they probably would have been killed outside. They probably had a better chance surviving within the camps, which we know they did, because at the end of the war anyway, there's 3 or 4 million people collecting reparations showing they survived, or they lied quite a bit on who can collect reparations. Because the fact is that 3 or 4 million survived. I mean, really, there wasn't, like I mentioned, between 2 and 4 million Jews in the whole German-controlled Reich, and then 3 million, 4 million, or whatever it was survived. That's a lot of people surviving. So that shows you that either the people are lying who signed up for reparations, saying that they were there, which I think that might be the case too, or there wasn't that many Jews in the area, which I don't think there was that many Jews in the area anyway. And the ones that did survive, the hundreds of thousands, or even in the millions that did survive, were just part of working for the German Reich at the time. But I honestly don't think there was that many Jews even working for them. So we have a problem there. No one, of course, is going to investigate that to let you know what's going on there. So anyway, getting back to these oldsters, I call them old Holohuxters that give their side of the story.
The old geezers.
Well, they're 90 years old now, and they were just kids when they were in the camps. They were maybe 10 or 15 years old at the most. And, they have some beautiful stories that are just unbelievable because they are lies. They're not true at all. And they talk about all these interesting things that happened to them in the camps and all their you know, how they survived, and you know, they make it look like it was some miraculous feat that they survived, but that's all they were in the camps working, and they survived. And the Germans actually were protecting them, really, when you think about it. You know, then they make a big deal about, they say, oh, the German Death March, the German Death March. Well, let me explain something about the German Death March, okay? When the Soviets were coming into the camps, or they you know, let's say they were coming to take over Auschwitz, well, the Germans gave the Jews or the people in the camps a choice to go with them in the camp to be taken over by the Russians, or they went with the Germans to go to another safer place away from the Russians. Now, isn't it funny? They weren't forced to do this. They weren't forced to do it. They went on their free will. But the Jews turned it into some sort of death march. Okay, so some Jews died on that march to get out of there. Well, what are you going to do? That's the way it was.
Eli Wiesel and his dad,
he was part of that, wasn't he?
Yeah, he went with the Germans.
The Germans would really try to protect their people working for them, and that's why they took them on the march, to get them out of there, out of harm's way, because the communists, I mean, they were wicked, evil people. They came into the towns and they took it over. They raped all the women, and the Jews knew that this could happen to them. And I'll bet you, any one of those Jews that stayed in those camps, they probably, if they were a woman, they probably were raped by the Russians if the Russians took over that camp. And who knows, you know, the Americans took over some camps too. And who the hell knows what happened there also, because the Americans, you know, were raping some of these women also, but they don't want you to know about that. You know, no one wants you to know about that. So that's the issue with all these oldsters here, these old holohucksters giving their stories. You know, they pretty much are not really telling you the truth. They're not telling you the whole story. And, you know, it gets written up in the paper like something great that, you know, this Jew did, and he survived in spite of all the bad things going on around him, whatever. But, you know, the Germans got blamed for anything bad that happened to the Jews, where people don't understand that a lot of bad things that happened to the Jews happened to them because of the Jews. Because there were a lot of bad Jews in these camps that actually were in charge of running the camps. Most of the camps, okay, where the Jews were situated were run internally by Jews, okay? And a lot of them, you know, through like an extortion type of process.
They're called capos.
They were capos, and these guys were wicked, evil men. And they, you know, they had their run of the camp.
Well, they were communists.
Right.
So their idea of life is you could extinguish it.
Right.
They had no love of life. They weren't Christian-minded people.
Well, they did. Let's put it this way: they exploited the Jews, their own people now. But again, you're dealing with a cultural problem here. You're dealing with Soviet Jews, okay, wicked, evil, atheistic, horrible Jews, versus, you know, a mom and pop type of Jew that was a moral type of person, and they were probably preyed upon by these communist Jews that were doing all these wicked deeds against them, but the Jews blamed it on the Germans. Okay, they didn't tell the truth about what really happened to them in the camps, and this is just unbelievable to see through propaganda that these things could happen.
Plus, I read all the other books that come out, and then they say, "Wow, I didn't know that," and then they give a talk and they say it happened to them.
Well, what happened over time is when these Jews that survived being in the camps later on, you know, back in the 80s, 90s, and even today, you're getting some of these 90-year-old Jews writing their stories, which are just complete fabrications of what happened to them in the camps. But, you know, since they're so old, you know, people don't question the authenticity of what they're saying. So they never hear exactly what happened. And then let's say myself, you know, I come along and I want to question these people on what happened. They get on me and say, "Oh, how dare you attack that old person who's telling their story?" But, you know, old people lie. That's what you have to understand. They lie just like everybody else.
Too.
Well, yeah, in their memories at 90 years old is not going to be a good situation with them, because, you know, they're going to just kind of like remember a whole mishmash of things that they learned in the past from other holohoaxsters who gave their stories. And you'll notice most of these, holohoaxers that give their stories is just a mishmash of what was said in the past by other liars and hoaxers that, wrote books and made money on the books, all that, and movies and everything else. So anyway, this is just to get people to understand that, this side of the Holocaust, okay, there's two sides. There's the Jewish official version, okay, of what happened, and then there's the truth, okay? And you have to determine by your research and by looking into the facts what really happened. And, we feel that people should see both sides of the story and make a determination. But the problem is, in, over 20 countries today, you can't talk about these issues because they make it look like you're defaming the dead, or fake news or whatever, if you bring up the topic to discuss, which I find unbelievable because, of all the topics that are discussed in the world today, the Holocaust is the only one you can't discuss in certain countries. Now, in the United States, we do still have, freedom of speech here, and we can discuss it. But believe me, they give us a hard time on it. And if you go to Canada, their laws, they have these hate laws already enacted that if you bring these things up in Canada, they look at it as hate, and they'll bring you up before the court trying to accuse you of anti-Semitism or some sort of law that criticizes Jews.
People gave sermons and talked about homosexuality using the Bible, and they've been brought up on charges.
Yeah, Canada is having some really big issues there. If you ever want to go up to Canada, boy, you better be careful of what you say. There's certain books they won't even allow in the country that criticizes the Jews.
Or makes fun of immigrants.
Or makes fun of them, whatever. Yeah, I mean, it's not just the Jews. What's happened in these countries, they're getting so liberal now that you can't criticize gays, you can't criticize immigrants, and now you can't criticize women. And this is becoming a big thing now because of all the sex scandals. This is a big thing about women now being accused, women accusing all these men in these sex scandals, which is just basically a witch hunt. So the world has just really gone crazy in what's going on here. The Holocaust is a big part of it because it's the major part of it that is used to put Israel's thumb on people that criticize them. And that's what they're trying to do in the United States. They're trying to make laws that you can't criticize.
Well, what they're doing is they're very sly about it. They make resolutions. The resolutions is just like getting together and say, "Hey, how do you feel about this?" Yeah. And so it's an agreement that we should do something like this. And so now they know where to head later on to make a law.
Well, one thing that I heard, and this happened in a couple states, that people who were victims of Harvey, the storm, they couldn't get their benefits or money unless they couldn't criticize Israel or have anything to do with divestment of Israel, and that was part of the law. They said in a couple states. I'm not sure if it was Florida. I forgot what states. Whatever states they had the problem.
Mississippi.
It might have been even Texas. But anyway, people that were looking to collect any money on their on policies or whatever, they made it a law or said something that they couldn't collect unless they were made sure that they didn't believe in divestment from Israel. Imagine that. This is unconstitutional. And yet that shows you how much power Israel has today in the world to get these type of laws passed in the United States. On another topic I wanted to speak about, I get a lot of videos up. I have hundreds and hundreds, over 500 videos on YouTube dealing with, the Holocaust topic. And I'm probably the only one, that puts a face to my videos dealing with the Holohoax topic, which is kind of neat. So people do comment, and I got a comment. I've been getting some really positive comments, and one comment I got yesterday had to do. I put a video up about the ADL go to hell. And you could look that up, I suppose. And you know, I was talking all about the ADL, how you know, insidious organization that is. That's all that organization is a. I look at it as like a treasonous group of people that really should be arrested and put in jail. But that's a whole other story. But anyway, a fellow commented, and he was a cop, and he said, "Rizoli, that was really good video that you put up." And he mentioned that because in the video I was talking about, you know, a lot of police and these type of people, FBI, etc., you know, law enforcement people, they get invited to Israel, okay, to learn all about things in Israel, and then they learn about police, you know, how to do police work and all this type of stuff. So what the Jews are doing, the ADL specifically, they're sponsoring trips to Israel for the police departments, FBI, all law enforcement. They pay for the trips to Israel. And that's all it is just a propaganda ploy to deprogram these American law enforcement people into believing, you know, the Jewish lies and all the crap that goes along with it. And he's saying that, this cop was saying that, yeah, his, you know, his lieutenant and all that, they're all excited that they can, you know, go to Israel on a free trip and learn all these things. So they come back, you know, think about it, they come back with a preconceived idea of Israel being great because it's like a payoff. They're getting paid off to, you know, back up Israel, to have a positive viewpoint towards Israel and the Jews. I mean, I just find this hard to believe. So there are some cops that aren't happy with that relationship between the ADL, okay, and any Jewish organization that sponsors any type of trip for any law enforcement agency in the United States. But they're doing this all the time. Okay, they do this all the time, and you wonder why, you know, we have problems with the police up here, especially dealing with the Jews. And I don't know if you know this, but in my town, believe it or not, the police actually do wellness checks on the temples. Now, the temple is that's a religious organization. Why are they doing it just on the temples? Why not doing it with the Catholic Church or the Protestant churches or the other churches? Because they've been brainwashed to think that they have to protect the Jews, and so they give them this, you know, free drive around wellness check on the temple. Now, as far as I know, they were doing that. Are they still doing it? I can't. You know, I haven't really looked. The way you look is you look into the book they have that shows the police what they're doing, and every time they do something, they write it down.
They may not even.
They have a logbook. Okay, the police have a logbook, and they were doing it. So anyway, this just shows you how insidious the ADL is, and you know how they're using their Jewishness like there's some special group of people that have to be protected. And it just makes me so mad to see that this can happen. It's like the Jews feel that they're the most important people in the world. And again, we know that because when you try to debate them on their, you know, fake Holohoax issue, my God Almighty, they just go crazy, and you know they want to put you in jail. I mean, they do in 20
I think they're
countries.
getting Homeland Security funds.
You think so?
Yep. They're getting money from the Homeland Security, and the first ones to jump into the pot is them, and they probably get most of the money.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what's happening.
Well, anyway, I mean, you can see where we're headed with this Jewish problem, and now you can understand, you know, why Hitler came against the Jews as much as he did, because, you know, he didn't want to exterminate the Jews. He just wanted to get them the hell out of there.
They're pests. They just become pests.
Yeah, they were just causing problems in Germany, and you know, of course, they turned the whole tables around. As much as the Jews were being protected by the Germans, believe it or not, in the camps, they turned it around to say that the Jews were being, you know, preyed upon.
And they always turn it around.
And they always do that. And so now today, everybody thinks that everybody's against the Jews, and anybody that speaks against them in any which way are anti-Semites, haters, you know, blah, blah, blah.
Well,
so
they hit you with those words, bigot, hater,
yeah, I mean,
racist.
But it's just them. You know what I mean? Like, think about it, okay? Kids go into a cemetery, a Catholic cemetery, and they turn over the graves. Okay, no big deal. You go into a Jewish cemetery and the graves are turned over.
It's a Holocaust.
It's a hate crime. It's a hate crime. Okay, this guy in the paper today, he admitted to drawing Nazi signs, whatever, on walls or whatever, and they got him for civil rights violations.
Really?
And yeah, it was in the paper today. And I'm saying to myself, well, whose civil rights did he violate?
We used to do that when we were kids.
I know,
we used to put that on the sidewalk.
But I'm just saying, okay, so he defaced some property, and now you're saying that it's a civil rights violation because it's a hate symbol? Hold on for a minute. Maybe I'm wrong, but aren't there some countries that still use the Nazi symbol today as a symbol of some cultural thing?
Malaysia or something, one of those places.
Sure they do. Are you telling me that that's a hate symbol in that country? That Nazi symbol has been used for centuries.
All right, so who's they got to name the victim. Who's the victim?
Well, that's what I like to find out here.
Who is the victim?
Who is the victim?
You go to court. Who is the victim?
Yeah.
Yes, it's us, the Jewish population of the whole world.
Well, anyway, but it just shows you how powerful the Jewish lobby is to be able to get laws enacted for stupid things like that. It's like the Confederate flag. Oh, the Confederate flag is a hate symbol. Well, my goodness, there's thousands of graves, down in the South that have Confederate flags on the graves. Are you telling me that you're going to be pulling those flags off those graves? In the North, you have the American flag representing the North on those graves, but I guess you can leave that symbol there, okay? But if you put it on, if the Confederates have their flag, that's a hate thing. This is just getting so out of hand.
They're getting rid of history.
Well, when you start erasing history, you really start getting some problems here, and that's where we stand right now. They're starting to erase history, getting rid of the statues that represent the South, because the South, everything they stood for was hate, they say. Really, let's think about this. Here are the people in the South defending themselves against the North in a war. They have as much right to have their viewpoint and their side of the story told, don't they? But no, the liberal loony bird, backed up by the Jew people, they want to look at all these symbols as hate symbols, and they want to try to, put people in jail for having these symbols, taking down the statues, and going after all these people that will have flags or draw a Nazi sign or whatever, and that's what they're doing now. So things have gotten so out of hand in history, okay, in that time period, it's just hard to believe. And people don't see it. They don't see that, like there's a lot of people that they might not believe our viewpoint on the Holocaust, and they get mad with us because we have our viewpoint there. But let's say they're Christians, okay, and they don't believe in gay stuff, and
I'm gonna get guess.
Let's say they don't believe in gay stuff, and they don't believe in all this other stuff, like abortion and all this and that.
Where's the thing?
Let's say they don't believe in all that stuff. People that don't agree with our side of the story, they're going to see that they're going to be thrown in the same part we are, because the liberal loony point of view now is anything that is against gays, anything that's against illegal immigrants, anything that's against even women now, are considered hateful. So, they don't believe in abortion, and they don't believe in homosexuality. So they are just as hateful as we are, aren't they, when you think about it? It's really sad how things are really getting out of hand, and people just don't get it. What's happening in the world today. It's really crazy. Well, anyway, I think that's pretty much sums it up on my end here. I'm Jim Rizoli, and Joe's getting gas right now, and that's the deal. All right, take care. Bye.